We, the land-bound beings, anchored to our continent, nations and islands, have always been caressed and shaped by the tender embrace of the sea. The sea, the eternal giver and receiver, cradle of life. The allure of the ocean, the way it whispers to our hearts. Here in the depths, we uncover the stories that inspire us to explore, to protect, and above all, to believe. At the heart of the reef, we uncover tales of resilience and transformation, a place where art, science, and culture merge to paint a vivid canvas of rebirth. Join us and let the Museum of Underwater Art illuminate your path through its artistic expressions, scientific revelations, and cultural echoes. You'll transverse a world both ancient and precious. You, our honoured guests, are integral to a story filled with hope, where creativity becomes a sentinel of conservation, where art dances with the rhythms of the reef's heartbeat. Dive into these depths where the Great Barrier Reef and the Museum of Underwater Art become the storytellers of our time. Welcome to a world where stories of resilience and revival take centre stage, where together we become stewards of an enduring legacy. The best analogy is to think of corals as people and to then also relate a coral reef to our planet. And there's something like 8 billion people on the planet. Imagine that we lost or killed 50% of the people on the planet in the last 30 years, and imagine that the predictions were we would lose more again over the next 30 years. If that was the case, it would be a huge emergency. We would be taking urgent and immediate action. I'm horrified that we're not doing this. Unless we all work together with a common goal, we are in serious trouble over the next 20 or 30 years. And so far I've seen incremental change, but I haven't seen transformational change. And that's what we need this year. If we don't, your children are going to be brought up in a very different world, and the health of our planet is going to be worse than dire. It's going to be catastrophic.
When we talk about the reef, we're talking about an area the size of Japan, 300,000 square kilometers of living structures. That's massive. Corals generally live at the top of their thermal maximum range, around 30 degrees Celsius, 31 degrees Celsius. Most corals can cope with if the temperature remains elevated for around a month. You'll start to see mass mortality. What happens if those corals die is that initially the structure will still be intact, but over time those structures will erode. And coral reefs are home to 1/4 of all known marine species. And it's estimated that 1 in 3 marine species depends on coral reefs at some point of time in their life. So you can imagine huge flow-on effects from losing our reefs.
We've had 6 mass bleaching events on the Great Barrier Reef since 1998, and 4 of those have occurred since 2016. So just having 4 mass bleaching events in that short a time period is quite concerning. That is all due to climate change and warming oceans. So we are at 1.1 degree of global warming, and we're approaching 1.5 by probably early 2030. So we know that bleaching events are likely to occur more frequently, and they could be more severe.
What would happen if you brought the world's leading underwater artists together with some of the world's leading scientists involved in coral restoration, the Great Barrier Reef, marine science? What would happen if you brought traditional owners, Aboriginal people who've lived and worked and survived on this land for hundreds of thousands of years, And what would happen if you brought the tourism industry to that table? What can we do with the Museum of Underwater Art with those specialists at the table? That is the question that the Museum of Underwater Art can deliver.
The mission and the vision of the Museum of Underwater Art is to provide a project that gets people talking about reef conservation. And whether they're interested in art or science or culture or tourism, this is a platform or an idea that allows them to think, learn, and then hopefully change their behaviour to be more sustainable. So you have to board a boat, it takes you about 2 hours to get out there, and then it's at the northern part of John Brewer Reef. Now John Brewer Reef's a pretty big reef. It's shaped a bit like an egg. It's about 6 kilometres long, and at the top of that reef is a beautiful little sheltered lagoon in around 16 to 18 metres of water, and surrounded by this fantastic, healthy, natural reef. And of course, all the diversity of fish and invertebrates. There's over 380 species so far. It's got a human story that is different for everyone, and it makes you think deeply about your connection to the reef.
I was approached by Adam from Reef Ecologic to review the structures at Moa. They had recently been built and they were looking at a way to get them certified for a Category 4 cyclone. So Moa was a once-in-a-lifetime project that we got to be involved in. Not many engineers get to be involved with an underwater structure, let alone an underwater structure that people will go and visit on a yearly basis and get some worldwide recognition.
The Museum of Underwater Art is first about conservation and conversations. So it's best to protect something. But if you can't protect it and it's already damaged, then one of the options is to repair or restore. As you descend, you see what looks like a house, a coral greenhouse. There's all sorts of life around it. Schools of barracuda, parrotfish, surgeonfish. There's corals that look like chandeliers coming down off the roof.
When I went down then and we went to our first big dive out in the ocean, I didn't feel like it was real. The euphoria, the silence, the colours, you don't realise that there's a whole nother universe that exists underwater. And that for me was the most magical experience I ever had. Culture, art and science together can create this beautiful organism that's going to help regrow nature. The amount of bad things we do, this is a good thing. This is a good project, it's a positive thing.
One of the beautiful things about the Museum of Underwater Art is that, albeit an amazing art display, it's really about encouraging growth on the reef, and the bridging the gap between science and art really comes at the point that you immerse yourself in that area and you sit and you take time to watch and study in detail these changes. So for Tony and I, as artists that have now been out there several times and spent time really looking at the sculptures, we've managed to develop a deep understanding of the ecological development that's happening in the area and how really important that is in this day and age, but how special it is to be happening on a site like the Museum of Underwater Art. I remember hovering at one point and the water was crystal clear. It was absolutely beautiful, and I could see a dozen artists perched in different areas around the sculptures and in the Museum of Underwater Art sketching, and even now I get goosebumps thinking about how cool that was, that this was happening and it was like this little classroom.
The fact that they're part of an ocean Sentinels, that it shows that we need to try and do something to protect our reefs. We need to work toward that goal. And it's true for clams as it is for the coral. Of course the corals are, a very big major part of it, to have a healthy coral reef. And then the clam is in there too.
Life is about collaboration. Life's journey is about collaborating and understanding and learning and working together The Museum of Underwater Art is about bringing science, bringing community, bringing government, bringing tourism, bringing artists to be able to collaborate on a project that has inspiration. And you know, it's a fundamental part of how we have success. What is our measure of success? It is about collaboration, and we're so looking forward to working with our scientists now, our ocean sentinels, to collaborate in their networks.
We as people, we've got one Earth. Everything on Earth is, evolved for thousands and thousands of years to support life on Earth. And we as human beings, we are, one part of that circle of life. And somewhere along the line, we've traded away that connection with land, with spirit, with, our sea country, with our sky. I mean, it's about our human footprint on this planet is really, at a pivotal point where we've really got to question what we're doing on this planet.
People protect what they love. And you can read about coral reefs in the newspaper, see documentaries on TV, but unless we're giving people the opportunity to see these reefs, these magnificent ecosystems, that's the best way to cultivate that connection. To have that in the elements experience is just something that is indescribable.
What is the reef going to be in 50 years' time? We hope that the Great Barrier Reef is what it is today. And even today it's under threat. So we must inspire people to be engaged with the reef lifelong.
We have to change our behaviour, and it won't cost much, and it'll make us feel good, and it will have such a huge benefit. Transformational change is needed now, and that's one of the reasons I'm talking to you, the next young leader who will go, I get it, I'm going to do my bit, and then they will influence other people, and before we know it, there won't be a lone voice such as me. There'll be hundreds, thousands, millions of people saying, yep, we've got to do it now.